Welcome to Urban Legends with your hosts, Smartwatch, Neil and Chris, and Google Speaker.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the internet podcast series about urban legends and other such things. I am squirrel enthusiast Chris Flynn, and with me is the most recent winner of the Euro Millions lottery. It's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Oh, you sound excited after your big win.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you've had a good week then, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I have. I mean, you can imagine it, winning £2,000.
Wow. So
yeah.
what was
I've got to imagine that's got to come up. Well, that's got to come up one of the highest. No, that was all six, Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's got to be one of the highest lottery wins of all time. That seems like a life-changing amount of money for me.
I think sometimes it's been higher, Neil.
Really?
Yeah.
How much? What, like 8,000 or something like that?
Yeah, somewhere slightly north of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's.
So, what are you planning on doing with your winnings? Spreading it around a bit, giving it to charity.
Might have a takeaway this weekend.
Might have a takeaway.
Myself, yeah.
What kind of takeaway are you going to have?
Ooh,
Ethiopian.
The mind boggles. Yeah, it could do. Or no, I think that. I don't. Yeah. There's quite a lot of choice in Brighton, isn't there?
There's pretty much everything. Yeah.
Well, do you know what we now? So
what are you going to have?
Couldn't afford to.
Fried chicken delivered.
That'd be yes,
nice and cold.
And the chips, greasy and lukewarm.
Already bad. They're going to be worse.
Yeah, I've not. Yeah, so you see, I couldn't afford. Couldn't afford that. Just have brown bread in the fridge with no butter. So the fridge. I don't know what I was putting in the fridge.
Keep longer. Make it even harder.
Yeah, dry it out even more. Yeah, so that'll be a red treat. Maybe what I'll do, because you can get this now, can't you, with these new firms? I'll get like maybe I'll get some Ethiopian starters, and then maybe I'll have like a Chinese main or something like that.
Oh, I mean, if you're going to two different restaurants on like Just Eat or something, then that's pretty much $2,000 used up. To be honest.
Oh well, fair enough.
They put
splurge it up on that then.
And I'll be honest with you, stuff like Uber Eats and that, a lot of the time now, they don't actually make the food at the restaurant. They have like a warehouse where they
black cafe or whatever they call them. Yeah, it's just some.
Yeah, they have like a black site.
Yeah,
CIA
style rendition some chefs somewhere. Yeah. They've got a recipe and it's like make this within 5 minutes.
Yeah, I kind of don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't use any of them anymore. I did for a bit, but I got rid of them because they're dangerous.
Still get Uber Eats offering me. I can't remember what it's up to now. It's like £10 off of the first
25 meals
or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. So do I, but I'm purposely not using Uber Eats because I'm basically withholding custom from Uber because I want them to fail.
I mean, yeah, they do seem like a fairly terrible company, but some lads running it at the top.
Well, it's
quite a competition with the old,
well, it's like the sort of Emperor's New Clothes thing, isn't it? Where they keep ploughing in money. I just want to see all of those people lose their money, basically. So
that's fine. It's quite normal to make a loss for the first 25 years.
Yeah,
to Sainsbury's,
an increasing loss, a spiraling out of control loss. Yeah, so.
That's how you disrupt. So
anything else? Have you thought about maybe like starting a collection or a hobby with the money?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to build my own Matchstick City.
Matchstick City.
Yeah.
Cool. What, 1-to-1
It'd
scale?
be like a 3-dimensional Lowry painting. Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
New York, 1-to-1 scale, New York.
Will $2,500 get me that? Do you think?
I think it'll get you enough of you'll be able to do enough to be able to attract investment.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. If I get the venture capital, I'll build, say, like, Manhattan or something out of matchsticks on I don't know, like a 1-to-8 scale, and try and get some VCs to. We can build up.
Well,
you say that, but you go to like Little Europe in Belgium. I mean, that's
what.
That's like 1 to 2,000. Have you never? So in Brussels, there's a park, and it's got all of the European cities like little representation.
Better not have London in there.
I don't know if they do anymore. You see, I don't know.
Good. Good. I hope we took
Since
it
the
home.
Unpleasantness.
Took it home.
Well, I imagine it was just like a Paddington bear and a Beefeater bear, with a little.
For some reason, the London Eye, which is basically just a Ferris wheel, which somehow they put on all London posters and stuff. Now it's like, what? We've got loads of stuff. Why are you looking at a big wheel?
Tower Bridge is slightly more iconic, I would argue.
Yeah. Nah.
Or,
just a Ferris
St.
wheel.
Paul's.
Yeah, Tower of London.
In fact, they just whacked it up from opposite St. Paul's as well. It's like, there's stuff to look at on this. Well, I suppose there's a point, isn't it? You can see on the other side. I mean, is that and the other...
Have you ever been on it?
I never have, no.
I have.
Any good?
Yes, all right.
Well, there you go then. What are you moaning about?
I'm not moaning, I'm saying it's all right. I don't think it's iconic. I think you're iconic, Neil. That's what I think. I think you're iconic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're the icon of
and I saw
2023.
you could see from space, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I see your point. It's kind of like making that out as kind of like emblematic of London is a bit daft, and I think because they're all over the world, aren't they? They've got like a wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, they even had one in Brighton for a time.
Yeah,
and
but not as big.
either. I suppose it wouldn't have been. Well, I mean, again, I cannot see the point of having one of those things in Brighton. I mean, I'll go up the whatever it's called, the Needle, one of these, or the i360, whatever they're calling it, tower. Was it Tower or Needle?
It's i360.
Just the i360.
Just clean, Neil. Clean.
Yeah.
Don't over-engineer it.
Ooh.
i360.
It's a circle with an eye on the front, so it sounds a bit Apple, yeah? Don't worry about it.
It's I for Apple and 360 because you've got a 360-degree view.
Yeah.
Simple, Neil.
Simple.
Don't overdo it. Nice clean lines.
Yeah.
Feng shui.
Yeah, what we've done, London,
other
we've
words.
seen your wheel, we've turned it around. How about that?
Yeah, we've made it go up and down in that.
Perpendicular.
Like you said, it's a massive cock ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
befitting our city, I feel.
Yeah, so what were you planning on? So you matchstick cities and...
Well, now I'm thinking about doing a one-to-one scale matchstick i360.
Well, it's iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
like yourself.
I mean, never mind the Royal Pavilion. I mean, if I've got any matchsticks left over from my 2 and a bit grand, I might do a matchstick Royal Pavilion. And then, as you say, I might quite iconic, so I might do a one-to-one matchstick of me.
Would it not be easy to do the i360 of toilet rolls?
It's not about easy, Chris.
Oh, isn't it? What's it about?
It's about challenge.
About profit.
About bettering yourself.
Bettering yourself.
It's about innovation. It's about integrity. It's about other things that I can stand for.
It's about synergy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Integration.
Yeah.
Imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iteration. Ideation.
Yeah.
There's probably some other I words I could think of if you have a bit more time.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
there you go.
Well, yeah, I'm glad one of us won it. Anyway, that's good, isn't it? Nice one.
So I assume I'll be able to retire for the rest of my life now. I don't know. Yeah. I've got to see an IFA about I can invest some of it as well.
I read the other day that in the UK over your life, and this is if they have kids, so obviously you can knock that off. But for now anyway. But people spend £1.5 million. That's how much an average person.
The average, because obviously it'd be very different for different circumstances. But yeah.
Yeah, but apparently that's like more than a person would actually earn over their life as well. So I don't know how that works.
Don't worry about it.
Bang on the cards for the last 10 years.
Finance, don't you worry your beautiful word about it, my dear. That's all fine.
So if you can get 1.5 million, then you can retire. Well, actually, I mean, we're both probably halfway through our lives, sadly. So, 750.
I suspect there's a significant less sunsets to come than I've got in the past. Maybe 10% left of mine. I don't know.
So, speaking of which, have you filled out that paperwork to make me...
make you beneficiary of my life insurance.
Make me your heir. And
I'll get round to it.
Good. Your heir, actually. Wasn't it? Your heir apparent.
Yeah.
So, Neil, do you want to hear about my love of squirrels?
Your squirrel enthusiasm. Yeah, you're enthusiastic of all small rodents, aren't you, really? But
I am. But
why squirrels in particular?
Well, there's some squirrels living in a tree literally just outside my kitchen window. And
Grey or red?
Grey.
Controversial.
It's not. I'm not racist against squirrels. I love all squirrels now. I love squirrels.
They've displaced the
to put your number on this paper because I would love to meet you, holler at you when I come on tour. I love squirrels.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know that they are an invasive species, but whatever, they don't know that, do they? They're squirrels. I like them. I like that they're very friendly. They're quite tame. They'll take food from you. I remember the squirrels in Pavilion Gardens down in Brighton because I used to take them peanuts on my way to work every day because, I'm that kind of cunt.
Just walking past the homeless.
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, kick them. But I stole some peanuts off the homeless and then took them to the squirrels. And they used to run up my leg.
There you go, Professor Nutkins.
There you go, Nutso. Yeah. Well, I didn't ever see the squirrels drinking.
That's true.
No,
perfectly good pavilion you could kip in there.
Yeah, so I just like them. I like animals, don't I? They're nice creatures. Like I've seen the squirrels outside my flat raising their.
I'll be honest with you, this is like a fairly surface level of.
What do you want me to do?
I don't know, like dress up like a squirrel,
go and live in a tree,
some weird sexual fetish.
That sounds like one of your sexual fetishes, Neil.
Yeah, well, many of those have been explored in the past.
You know that I'm only into pouring liquid latex all over myself and sculpting a Romanesque body. That's my fetish.
That's your thing. Yeah, fair enough.
That's my thing. Yeah, do it on my own as well. I say on my own, on camera for my increasingly bizarre OnlyFans.
Broadcast it.
Yes. Yeah. Did you know that squirrels have up to 5,000 different places that they hide their food for the winter?
I did not. I do now.
And they remember them all in a kind of GPS way.
Mm.
So that's quite clever, isn't it? Could you remember 5,000 places to keep food?
Can't remember. Well,
one place.
Fridge, maybe.
The fridge made you scream the other day, didn't it?
Yeah. Don't know what was going on. Don't know what was going on under that salad crisper, but it didn't look too good. Oh yes, bought salad again, and
and it's now
a sentient life form.
It's
colonising the fridge. Yeah.
Well, it's a problem, isn't it, with salad stuff?
It don't last that long. Yeah,
don't last very long. That's the problem with it.
It's like fish, got to eat the same day as ideally.
And it doesn't taste as nice as pork fat. That's the other problem with salad, isn't it? It's got two issues there.
Some and some. I don't mind a bit of salad. It's just the fact it didn't last very long.
So, Neil, now that we've established my credentials as Britain's biggest squirrel
expert, fair enough. Yep, that's what we call it.
Would you like to know what we're talking about today?
I would.
Okay.
What would it be?
We are looking at a Brazilian legend known as La Pisadeira, and it's a kind of old hag. And it's a frightening legend from Brazil. And I'm going to be reading from the website designinglife.biz, which I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, and it tends to, that we got some stuff about the Tokoloshi from this website.
Oh, that's a helpful start.
Like a year ago.
Yeah.
And so, and it's weird because the actual website is for discovering the best gay nightlife, so you never miss out. So if that is your jive, then it could be worth looking at because it's a pretty decent website for that kind of thing.
Not? And you can do a bit of Urban Legends on the side.
Exactly, it's got something for all of your needs, and it's
excellent.
And the article is by someone who's simply titled James. It's not giving his surname.
Fair enough. Maybe they're famous. Maybe that's what that band was named after.
I reckon. Sit down. God, they were dreary, weren't they?
There was a lot of dreary stuff in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, it was, I'd say late 90s, wasn't it?
I thought.
It actually did go on for a lot. After Britpop kind of stuff, the sort of dreary indie.
Well, you kind of, I quite liked some of the shoegaze stuff, but there was always that element, like late 80s, you got some of the indie stuff. Some of it's really kind of like, you had like the Manchester stuff and all of that crazy, like ecstasy and infused bits and pieces. And then there were the kind of more droney indie acts. I've never really been keen on the kind of got guitar. Yeah. Some of it's all right, but anyway.
Well, do you know what? Like, because in this country, football violence is going up again.
Is it?
Like, yeah, and I don't know. It's a mixture of social conditions, like it was in the 70s and 80s, because there isn't a lot of hope around and the country's generally a bit shit. But also, people are getting cocaine loads now, which they didn't quite so much.
Well, yeah, because you hear about like some of the. There's those incidents with some of them Chelsea fans, and like half of them are like lawyers and stuff. It's just like they're very well paid corporate jobs.
Yeah,
you just thought it was like a bit of a fucking adventure to try and be a football hooligan.
Well, the thing is, like booze and coke, like and also
and being in a gang of other people,
and being in a gang of other
fucking
people,
hard because you've got
tribal
20 mates with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
that's a particular species of bloke I really fucking hate. When they've got a bunch of their mates with them, suddenly they're fucking hard case.
Yeah, like Stormzy said in his song Vossi Bop, you're bad with your friend's pussy on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Stormzy never lie.
Stormy don't lie. Yeah, but so the original football hooliganism and stuff, they reckon one of the reasons why that stopped was because of the second summer of love, because people started getting into doing pills and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was much more...
Do the right drugs, kids.
Yeah, so I wonder if we've got one of them coming. Hopefully, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Go back on ecstasy.
Yeah, get some.
Not gack, it's terrible.
If you want to stop football violence, UK government decriminalise MDMA. Yeah. That's my answer to you.
I'm sure
Rishi Sunak,
most regressive government, yes, yeah, name any of the cabinet. I'm sure they'll be bang up for that.
Well, there was that thing, wasn't there?
It'd be fine if they did it.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we know it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
But for a high-paying lawyer or a finance expert, working class people's brains are wired differently.
They won't be able to handle it. No. They won't be able to get up and do their zero contract job. Well, they reckon they did, someone went round and did like you can swab for drugs. They did that like round all the Houses of Parliament and they found cocaine literally on every surface. They're all banging a wee bit of chowware in between their fucking
absolutely
debates.
Botched it in the toilets at the Houses of Parliament, I would imagine.
Still talking about drugs?
Whatever
a cocaine wank.
Yeah. He just rubs it on the old tit just to feel something.
Feel nothing as he rubs it against a nutmeg.
The double header, as he calls it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so perfectly leads into the Old Hag, or Pisadeira, a frightening legend from Brazil.
All right.
So starts off quite wistfully. Dying is a fact that we can't get away from.
I mean, true, but let's see where this is going.
But you never thought today would be the day that you die.
This is quite a threatening article, I would say. Is it published on like Dios de la Muerte? I know it's a Mexican festival, but Day of the Dead or whatever they call it. Dios de la Muerte?
This was 30th November 2019, so...
I think it's in springtime.
So no, then.
Yeah.
He said that this is just his writing style.
Yeah.
Even so...
It's a goth Brazilian. Yeah,
just a goth Brazilian.
He'll be into steampunk later on. That'll please you.
Oh, I'd love that. Did you know that Brazil has the... Apropos of nothing, Brazil has the highest expat Japanese community.
I did not know that. That's quite interesting.
Because,
what's that about?
Well, in the 18th century, loads of people moved from Japan to Brazil when it was probably still a Portuguese colony, and they've got, and they've just stayed, and so they've got like a few million ancestrally Japanese people, mainly in Sao Paulo.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it, Now
I did not know that. I thought you were going to say, did you know that Brazil's got the largest proportion of goths outside of Western Europe or something? No, because I can't imagine goth going down too well in Brazil.
That's Peru.
It's too sunny and kind of, I just imagine they're all just having a bit too much fun.
Forest goths.
Yeah. I suppose you could hang out in the Amazon with the snakes and that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what.
Imagine like Rio de Janeiro or something, just be a bit too colourful and sunny for a.
Yeah, but then that's what got
Tim Burton would just be like, "Oh, I'm not going."
Yeah, I know, but then on the other hand, then you get a reaction to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I bet there is a goth scene.
Oh, there will be. Just I can't. Yeah, well, who knows?
Well, there we go. That's
jolly good luck to him anyway. Whatever.
That could be one of our first videos, discovering the goth scene in.
Yeah, it's a bit of deep dive investigation, uncovering the goth scene. Just 3 people in Rio de Janeiro.
I think glue in a graveyard.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't fancy gothing through the favelas at night.
That's true.
So, Neil, even so, death never looked uglier. Today, your demise comes in the form of an old lady. The old hag is frightening, to say the least. However, in Brazil, they call her Pisadeira.
Mm-hmm. What does that translate as? Do we know?
Nah.
Okay.
So, the old hag has many names. Some call her the night hag. Others call it a syndrome. The old hag syndrome, whatever her name, in Brazil, the legend is slightly different, but just as terrifying. So,
you're doing a lot of telling, not showing here, I would say.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting style. So this seems to be quite a big, like it's well known throughout Brazil, this thing, and there's been academic papers written on it and stuff, and they reckon it's about sleep paralysis and that kind of thing, but also being told this story and then people kind of see it. So,
well, I wonder whether because, I mean, not to get too far into it, because I'm not really conversant with this or understand it very well, but obviously with the favelas and stuff in Brazil, I imagine there is quite a lot of poverty and, and what have you. So I wonder whether there is sort of like fear of death and whether there's something on the. Yeah, I don't know. I always thought the Brazilian psyche has been one of your kind of fun-loving and party animals, but
what with all the slavery
there's 2 sides to that.
History.
No, you wouldn't exactly. Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Do you think in Brazil? I think of the football team and the kind of like the carnival and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, obviously there's a very dark side as well.
There's lots of poor people in Brazil.
Oh no, I mean absolutely, yeah.
And, they did just have Bolsonaro and they tried to storm the capital and stuff, so.
Well, yeah, there is the stuff with the elections. Well, again, that comes down to the whole right-wing populism thing, doesn't it? It's kind of like, people with short-term solutions who took a good game.
Well, and also because there is, in Brazil, there's like what's it called? There's a type of Christianity, evangelism, I guess, has pretty much taken over from Catholicism now.
Oh, really?
And evangelism's obviously even more right wing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's been a real push. I mean, it happens in
and it's massive
African countries as well. There's a lot of people in right wing America who are funding these movements around the world.
Yeah, and it's got really massive, and especially kind of in the countryside, because you're thinking of Brazil and you're thinking of like Rio de Janeiro, but
absolutely.
There's a huge inland,
many different geographical areas, as you say, like Amazon rainforest down through stuff like that.
Well, and lots of farmers, and they're kind of very Christian, rural, sort of machismo, sort of cowboy and all that kind of shit. So,
yeah,
and that's who Bolsonaro kind of appeals to,
yeah.
So here's a description of the old hag. Sometimes you'll notice a feeling. It's the feeling of being watched. Although you don't see her ugly face, the hairs on the back of your neck stand upright. Other times you'll notice stench. The putrid smell fills the room as you hear the old hag's footsteps come closer. You can't see a thing, but you know she's here.
Ooh.
When you do see the old hag, you'll notice the fiery red eyes of the devil. Her yellow, claw-like nails looking dirty but sharp.
Well, that's the worst of all possible world, isn't it?
What? Dirty and sharp?
Sepsis risk, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Don't
Cut you up and get a bit of,
Her fingers are long and so dry parts of her skin flake off. She has the nose of a witch, long and crooked. Her teeth are sharp and decaying, green and rotten, but perfect for eating small children.
I'm going to be honest with you, I mean, just nothing a toothbrush, a shower, and a nail clipper can sort out thus far.
Yeah, shower, shit, and a shave, and she'll be right as right.
Oh, you brush up nice, girl.
Yeah, you look all right, darling.
Oh, you'll take those glasses up, put that hair down.
yeah. Give you a little makeover. And she was the belle and she won homecoming queen. Once you see her, she reacts with a loud cackle. Her scary laughter will keep you awake for days. So, the old hag's mode of attack.
First is just shitting you up.
Yeah, right.
I imagine the old nails are going to come in here, but we'll see.
Well, so Neil, she appears after a beautiful and tasty dinner. On special occasions like Thanksgiving, to give perspective, I'm perfectly aware Brazilians don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and Christmas. When the food is plentiful and the wine flows like water is when she's most likely to attack. Regardless, today is a day to indulge. Today you'll have turkey, stuffing, mashed potato. Tonight you tasted everything. Now you're sleepy and you know you'll have a great night of sleep. I don't sleep that well if I've eaten loads of rich foods.
Yeah, no, I find it hard to digest. Yeah, well, I suppose if you get enough time before you... But yeah, it can be quite hard to digest it, can't it? So you end up having weird dreams.
Well, here we go. Well, maybe that's an explanation. Yet, in the middle of the night, your eyes open. That's when you realise you can't move. It's strange because you're wide awake, but your arms and legs won't budge. Are you paralysed, Neil? What's happening?
Yeah, it could be sleep paralysis, I suppose.
Yeah. Out of the corner of your eyes, you notice a shadow. Is it your imagination? Then you hear a burst of laughter, and you smell that strong putrid scent. So this is why I don't have housemates anymore.
Well, either that or you just had a big dinner and shit yourself.
Well, yeah, it happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Happens to the best of us. Yeah,
it happens to all of us every night.
That's why I wear male diapers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only have to change them several times an evening, don't you?
Yeah, once a month. I guess, you know, I'll be honest with you, the towel
dragging it along behind you. Yeah. More clay than man.
It's not. Carry on with that.
Draw a little line there. The shadow starts to move, and you
we found the bottom of the barrel, Chris. That was unexpected.
No. And you realise it looks like an old hag. The laughter freaks you out, and you try to scream, but nothing comes out of your body. No noise. That's like the bit in the song Thriller, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You start to scream, but there takes a sound before you make it, girl.
Before or after he turns into a werewolf? I forget.
After or before? Both.
One of John Landis's better directorial efforts, I would say. Anyway.
So, you're so scared, tears start falling down your cheeks.
Mm.
You see her crawling into your bed. Oh, things are taking a turn.
Things are lifting up now. On such an overwhelming stench, my dear.
Now you see her disgusted, jagged teeth as she laughs at your discomfort. She puts one foot on your chest and puts all her weight on you. You can't breathe. Is tonight your last night on Earth? Your family is right outside the door, but you can't scream for help. Suddenly, you're free, and there's nothing in the room.
Oh.
You can move again, and you're able to speak. And now, Neil, you can have a real cry. And it's, isn't it nice to just let it out sometimes?
Luckily, I'm in bed already, so just curl up in the fetal position, have a good sun.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just damp pillows.
Nothing like a line on a damp pillow. Tear moistened pillow.
Tear moistened, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
Nice moist pillow. Tonight you got lucky because usually the Pisadeira or the old hag takes the victims when she comes. Maybe next time you won't be so fortunate. The legend said she hides on people's rooftops waiting for them to have a great meal. The old hag climbs into your home and takes your breath away until you're dead.
So here's my question again. It's like, what's her end game? That's the thing I'm always saying with these
just evil.
Spooky sorts. Yeah, no, I like to dig in a bit deeper than that, don't we? So first you're thinking as well, though, I mean, just like killing folk, yeah, fair enough. Obviously that's got to have a hobby. But waiting until they've had a really good meal, is that just kind of like, so they think they've had a good time, but then you catch them, that'll be like really putting them at a low ebb or...
Well, you wonder if maybe she starved to death or something, don't you?
Is it maybe that she just wants to,
Like, and she, like those people are stuffing their faces while there's people starving out there. You know, maybe it's some kind of vengeful spirit, which could be, couldn't it?
Could be.
What do you think? Do you think that's it, or maybe she works for a pillow manufacturer and she wants you to get mould in your pillow through all of the liquids that you're secreting into them?
It's one of the more anarchic ones out of Chumbawamba.
Right.
Yeah. Damn but no bacon. It was another one who was like a vegan and doesn't like people eating meat, perhaps.
Oh, right. So you reckon it's a vegan attack?
Could be.
They're becoming more regular, aren't they? So, origins of La Pisadeira, or the Old Hag. Ever had a nightmare? ? Well, nowadays we all know what dreams are. However, once you wake up, everything's back to normal daily life. But what if waking up didn't get rid of the demons in your room? That's what we now call sleep paralysis. So it seems like they're pretty much convinced that this is a sleep paralysis thing.
I mean, some of it, up until she starts crawling over your chest, it sounded, I mean, the whole thing out of the corner of your eye and all the rest of it, because I was picturing sleep paralysis, especially because obviously you can interpret. I mean, I wonder if it's a mixture of sleep paralysis and then somebody dropping off and having a nightmare.
Well, I know Mark, who we used to know, I used to live with. He, when he was a teenager, he got really bad sleep paralysis and he thought he was being haunted. Yeah. And he could feel himself being held down and he could just see like a shadowy figure until he read about sleep paralysis and he was like, all right, that's what it is. So, I mean, people do get it really bad.
No, exactly. It's very common. I think people who interpreted that as like an alien abduction, it's just because that's the kind of thing that they'd read. And so if you see, because as well, I think probably a lot of it is very imperfect. Like it's not like clear sight or whatever. No. I imagine it's very much your sort of, your senses just kind of trying to interpret these various things happening in your brain. I mean, I don't know, but
I've definitely had things where I've woken up and I've opened my eyes and a dream's still been going on and I've seen stuff in my room, but I haven't ever been paralysed.
No, I've never had the kind of sensation of waking up was sort of vaguely lucid, but not quite. But I've not had the thing of feeling kind of like restrained or anything like that. But I mean, because I would imagine you'd interpret it in whatever kind of made sense to you. Do you know what I mean? Mm. So if you were kind of like reading a lot of UFO stories or science fiction, you might interpret.
It's what you know.
Brazilian, maybe the folklore or whatever. Sure. You might interpret it as this witch or what have you. But the whole crawling over the chest and stuff doesn't sound like accounts I've heard of sleep paralysis. I don't know.
So, sleep paralysis is known throughout the world, but every culture has a different name for her. Considering many people across the globe see an old hag when they have sleep paralysis, it makes people believe in demons and ghosts. In other words, how could everyone across the world see the same old hag? Is it the work of the devil?
I mean, he does like to get involved with all technologies old and new, doesn't he? So,
absolutely. So, although depending where you're from, the experience might be different, in most Western cultures, like in the United States, people report 3 common entities. The first one is the old hag, but sometimes it's a hooded figure, which I have actually seen in my room. I wrote about it on my horror blog. However, I recently got rid of the blog. If you're interested, I can bring the article here, leave a comment and let me know. And just so you know that there's one comment on this article. So,
is it asking for that story to come back?
I don't know.
Because if it isn't, I think we should comment on the blog, Chris, and say, I'd love to read your horror thing.
Okay.
Please put the story on.
We'll do that then.
We'll get 10 minutes of material out of it.
So the third entity is a man with a hat. I've had friends of mine who've seen him. Yeah, it could be. The man with the hat is the scariest of them all. In fact, they say just researching, reading, or talking about him calls him to you that night.
I see what he's done there.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be sleeping easy tonight, Chris.
Well, you never do.
That's true, yeah.
Too much guilt. Let's move on, shall we? Every culture in the world has seen the old hag before. They also say if you haven't seen her yet, you will at least once in your life. Again, I know that basically we don't really live in a culture anymore, do we? In the UK, we don't really have a culture anymore. But I've never been told about this Or someone?
No, I've never heard of this.
Nah.
Yeah, maybe they do it up north. It's a north-south thing.
Oh, be careful you're sleeping tonight. You might see old Hag.
Okay. Someone's going to crawl over you.
It's all you worry about that. You're going to have a Hag come visit you tonight. Lovely stuff. That's
come out like Cilla Black. That was a terrible Liverpudlian accent.
That's the north removed from our tour dates.
Yes.
So, the old hag in the media. In many cases throughout the world, there are many reports of people dying in their sleep. One day you're 100% healthy, and the next day you're asleep forever. In fact, a few decades ago, healthy people dying in their sleep became such a phenomenon, one artistic creator turned it into a worldwide media sensation, and he called his new movie A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to go there.
The movie...
I mean, Freddy Krueger's got a lot more wisecracks than this lady, by the sound of it.
Yeah, but he's a paedophile. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the movie of Freddy Krueger is a movie of sleep paralysis. It's way more than this, but we'll keep it simple.
No, it's about a demon who haunts people's dreams. It's like some nonce they chucked in an oven. Apparently they're meant to be guilty about that, and that created like a... Yeah, anyway. It's not really hashed a plot of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Where people see the infamous man in the hats before dying. When sleeping becomes your worst enemy, you'll never sleep again. That's not true. You have to sleep.
Yeah.
So we
once went about 3 or 4 days without sleeping. I was practically like hallucinating at the end of it.
I've done, and this is like without taking drugs or anything like that, but when I had bad sleep and I had to be off work because of bad sleep, and then I couldn't sleep during the night.
Yeah.
But then I had to get myself back into a sleep routine, so I stayed up for 78 hours. I started getting like occasional auditory hallucinations.
Yeah, it does get extremely weird. Basically, I was working night shifts during the night, and then during the day having to do homework. And after on the 4th day, I think I just collapsed on the sofa and just fell to sleep.
Yeah, it's not nice not being able to sleep. I'm really grateful that I don't have the insomnia stuff anymore. So, real life examples of the old hag, aka sleep paralysis, and this is from Reddit user BlackCode9. Shall I do a voice?
You may as well. I think you're going to. So,
what voice shall I do?
French Canadian. You did ask.
Hey, no problem, eh? I can't do that. I LD a lot and experience SP sort of rarely. If I do, it's usually not scary and I relax.
Got Jersey again. Listen.
Well, no, it's not really Jersey. It's more Philadelphia.
Okay.
Probably. I could do Jersey if you want. But this was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. Jersey being, of course, the dog Spike from Tom and Jerry. I promise that this is all 100% true. I woke up in the middle of the night, but I must have still been dreaming. Everything was dark, and I slept with my door shut. This time it wasn't a latch, so it could be opened by just a little push. I hear a distant running, like someone jogging towards my door. It sounded oddly human, but I reasoned that it was my cat. I hear something shuffle outside my door, and I saw the door slowly move open with a thud. It's very dark, but I see it slowly opening up. At this point, I'm not scared, and I naturally thought it was my cat walking in and pushing open the door, and I called out to her quietly. Kitty! Come here, kitty! I waited a few seconds, and it's quiet. I hear a very eerie meow, like a man-animal hybrid was trying to imitate my cat. It was the strangest thing. I felt my heart sink and suddenly hear a deep demonic voice growling and speaking strange words. All this
So this sounds a bit like the Lick Hand story now, doesn't it? The serial killer under the bed who pretended to be a dog.
Yeah, a little bit.
So this is a witch lady pretending to be a cat.
Oh, presumably, but who knows?
Fucking with your head. Well.
All this happened, and I suddenly feel myself being sucked into my bed, and being unable to move. I can feel many hands pushing my arms down, and I kid you not, demonic laughter, like a little girl giggling, like in the ghost movies. I could not see anything, but there was whispers and a very creepy, distant droning sound. My heart was beating so fast I could feel the adrenaline surging through my arms.
Nice.
I woke up and it was all gone, but still pitch black, just like my dream. I don't know exactly if I was in a dream or not. It may not sound scary, but the amount of fear you experience is unlike anything I ever have. You're alone and you are meeting what seems to be Satan himself. You can feel a sense of pure evil that would crush the strongest man. This dream definitely made me feel more evil of ghosts and paranormal things. So,
there you go.
There you go.
Man falls asleep and has a nightmare.
And just to finish the article, on that note, now that Thanksgiving is here and other holidays are upon us, the food will come and the drinks will flow like water. Just be careful, the old hag or Pisadeira is wandering nearby. She lurks in search of the perfect person who has just finished a big meal. She is looking for someone who sleeps so deep she will take his soul upon closing their eye.
I mean, first point, I'm surprised I've never met her.
Really?
But a few large meals in my time. I don't recall ever.
It's true. That is true. One comment.
I've never been partial to the odd, many years ago, 2 a.m. kebab.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're putting it down to sleep paralysis, but yeah, like I say, there's
It's some in it. I don't know with the whole. Yeah. I mean, definitely has aspects of that. It sounds very much like that, but
I mean, it's been in like it's famous. It's been in TV and stuff, and
okay. Been on Supernatural?
No,
that's unfortunate.
No,
maybe one day.
But she's
going in it, Supernatural. So
is it?
I don't know. Well, I just assumed it was.
I don't know. I'm not sure, mate. But yeah, there's like academic papers on like PubMed Central. Sleep paralysis in Brazilian folklore and other cultures, a brief review.
I mean, it was interesting that they were claiming that it was the same all around the world. Because I associate sleep paralysis in America being more with kind of like alien abduction stories. Maybe not some more anymore. Like, it doesn't seem to be as big these days. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously you still get your ufologists who are into all of this, but it was, in the 80s and 90s, there was a real big kind of movement of that stuff. It seems to have fallen a little bit by the wayside. I don't know.
Well, it tends to, these things tend, it used to always be demons and stuff. And
you can imagine like 150 years ago it would have been,
Yeah, these things tend to kind of move about, depending on what's in the public consciousness.
Well, I mean, it's one of those that, like, I mean, I found that with the Blair Witch Project when I watched that. First time I watched that, I watched it like late at night by myself. And then did have quite an uneasy night's sleep because it's the things that they imply, and then
I went and watched it in the cinema, and then I was a bit antsy when I was in bed that night.
Watch it on its terms rather than somebody who watched it in the middle of the day when it's bright and done or whatever, and they go, "Oh, it wasn't scary."
Well, it was. It was scary. Yeah. Well, it kind of depends on how active an imagination you've got. Like, that's
I expect some of that as well. Yeah,
and I've got quite an active imagination, so it played on my mind. But
I thought it was quite effective at implying things, which, I mean, you got to bear in mind, it was low budget and a lot of people don't, but it didn't try and like there was another one around about that time. In fact, it was the one that they reckon might have ripped it off, but it ruins the ending because they try and throw in like a kind of like shocking thing at the end.
Neil, the scary bit was what they didn't show. That's what was scary.
Well, exactly. It's like jazz. It's the notes you don't play. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm just going to read a little bit of about this off Wikipedia.
I'm not having a Blair Witch discussion. No.
We've discussed it enough on this podcast.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually,
so I'm just going to read about her. There's a little Wikipedia article, so I'll just give her appearance off here. So she's described as a very thin woman, which would feed into our maybe she was with long dry fingers and huge dirty yellow nails. She has short legs,
Which speaks of malnutrition.
Speaks of malnutrition.
Yeah.
She has short legs, which speaks of a lack of iron.
Yeah, and also haven't grown because not got a very good diet. So, probably got rickets as well.
Yep, and shaggy hair, which speaks of a lack of creatine in her diet.
Lack of vitamin C and creatine, yeah.
A huge nose.
Essential oils being missed, yeah.
Which speaks of a lack of magnesium.
Yeah.
And lots of hair like a hawk. Her eyes are fire red, even white. Her chin is turned up and her mouth is always wide open with greenish teeth. So she has
That's a lack of self-care.
Yeah, she has a shrill, horrifying laugh. Well, that's in the ear of the beholder.
In the ear of the beholder, as you say.
There are reports that in Piau, which is an area, she usually appears disguised as someone that she does. Sorry, this is translated from Portuguese, so it's not easy to read.
Okay.
She appears disguised as anyone, and when the victim realise it, her body is asleep. So I don't know what to make of that, really.
Her body is asleep?
As the person becomes aware, they know that there is someone sleeping next to them in the bed. They can moan for the other person to hear and wake them up. When you wake up, you can rub your feet together 3 times and hit each other to prevent it from coming back in the same night. So make of that what you will.
You could pause that, gentle listener. Feel free to use that advice.
So
fair enough, second language and all that.
So it lives
on poor translation. I'm not sure which.
Well, yeah, it's an automatic translation.
Oh, it's just not. Oh, right, it's just one of those crappy translators.
So it lives on the roofs, always on the lookout. And so it's when a person goes to sleep on a full stomach lying on their back, they come into action. She descends from a hiding place and sits down heavily steps on a victim's chest, who enters a lethargic state, aware of what's happening around them, but is defenceless and incapable of any reaction. So,
or a side sleeper, so maybe that's why I'm there.
Yeah, I'm a side or front sleeper. And it was in Mutant. It was used to create one of the mutants in Records TV's telenovela Os Mutants Caminhos do Caracau.
I wouldn't mind a look at that, I'll tell you what.
We've all seen. So, that's it, Neil. Let's go through our scoring system.
Yeah, it's a nice little story, yeah.
Yes, but another different one, isn't it? So, spookiness, Neil. What's going on in that big computer that we call a brain of yours?
Yeah, I think this is quite spooky, actually. I think the whole being vulnerable when you're asleep, maybe you just had a nice meal, but now you're regretting it a little bit, you know.
That's why I sleep with a loaded shotgun under my pillow.
Oh yeah, no, I'm normally armed with both hands the whole time.
Did I tell my gran? My gran used to
locked and loaded.
My gran used, I don't know why, like just in case they were robbed or something. But my gran used to sleep with a machete under a pillow.
Blimey!
Yeah, they call that an Irish burglar alarm.
Yeah. Well, I saw as well. There was an American advert for something. I can't remember what it was. Some satirical article, but it was like a bedstand where you could literally like hit it, and then a shotgun came out of the bottom, or
you catch it.
Yeah,
round
and then in your boigless face.
Yeah, she had that, and she had an Indian juggling club under the bed. So I think they were both brought back from the war by my actual biological grandfather. Obviously, he died long before I was born, but he was in the war, so I think he brought back from India a machete and a juggling club.
Well, there you go. That come in handy for home defence. I assume she never had to use them.
South London, innit?
Yeah. You never know what might go on. I think quite, your vulnerable state, all the rest of it is quite, I've never had sleep paralysis, as I was saying, but you obviously experience nightmares and things, and you're never fully in control, so that's always a very vulnerable state. And kind of the description, it's just, a little bit generic witchy, but you kind of like the foul smell and everything, that would not get you off to sleep easily. So that's pretty spooky for me. I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8, okay. Yeah, I think so. And even if it is just a situation where it is sleep paralysis, that's still terrifying because you're not thinking straight. So you're actually thinking the stuff's happening because, I'm not someone who can control when I'm in, like, I dream quite a lot. And when I'm dreaming, like, I'm actually there. It's not like, I think, some people can go, I'm just in a dream, but I kind of, I'm not. So that would, that would be very scary. Yeah, she's quite generic witchy. But, I mean, it sounds like it's kind of a well-known thing that, like one of three things that people get during sleep paralysis. So I'm kind of wondering where that's from. Maybe just because witches are kind of culturally quite pervasive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with you, Neil. I'll give it an 8 too. So, believability. Yeah, I believe that people have sleep paralysis and think they see this, so I think it's an actual witch that doesn't like you having a nice big meal and then comes to get you. No, but I think the fact that it's more prevalent after big meals is probably because your body's busy digesting and, you don't necessarily get like properly deep to sleep, do you, when you've kind of eaten loads of stuff. So, I mean, that kind of ties in and makes it even more believable. So, obviously marks off because I don't think it's a real entity, but I mean, it seems to be sort of cultural as much as anything. I think people believe it, so I'm going to give it an 8 as well. Now.
Yep, similar logic for me. So, yeah, obviously I don't think that there is such an entity, but I think it's more kind of like, nobody's claiming that, actual accounts of where something's happened or somebody's gone missing, they've done that. Although I think they were saying about, he does seem to at some point conflate Nightmare on Elm Street with it and people dying in their sleep.
Well, what he was saying with Nightmare on Elm Street is that there was like a spate of people dying in their sleep, and that was where they got the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street. And one of the three things which people see is a guy in a hat, and then maybe that was where.
Oh, okay, so that might have been an archetype that Wes Craven was familiar with, or something. And inspired by that. Although, of course, they ended up with like knife marks all over them and stuff like that in the movie. The whole idea of it. So, whilst I don't sort of believe there's something happening, I think, it's one of those things where, obviously people might buy into themselves, and B, the fact that you're in a kind of like, you're in a half waking state, it will always be that thing that plays on your mind. So I'm going to give it a 7.
7. Cool. So narrative premise, Neil.
Speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, I think there is a fairly good narrative premise you could have there with things coming in your dreams. What you want, what's the whole deal with the whole, I quite like the whole element around you've had a big meal. I'm not sure what that's, he seems to keep referring to Thanksgiving, which is weird. I think it's just a Brazilian American or a Brazilian lad who's gone off to America, or expat or whatever, I'm not sure. But, he's obviously got a bit of the old Thanksgiving on the mind, but,
well, I think it's because it was around Thanksgiving in America.
All right.
And probably that's the target audience of the website.
Yes, entirely possible. So fair dues. It's you have various celebration meals around the time.
If he was saying like
birthday cake or whatever.
If he was saying like some like like Luciano Day in Brazil, which is like our Thanksgiving, like people wouldn't know it outside of Brazil. So it's low-hanging fruit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's fair play. I think there's some interesting. That's an interesting little kind of like nugget of something in there. She, again, looks wise, motivation. Not sure what motivation is, but I suppose you could explore into that. A bit of generic witchy. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of
10. This has been around before. This sounds like it's quite a globe, like the sleep paralysis thing and all of that. So even though it's been done, this was around before it, like Nightmare on Elm Street and that kind of stuff. So, I think it's a strong narrative premise, isn't it? That kind of bit between the veil between the sleep world and the awake lands.
Betwixt lucid and dreams.
That's good. You can speculate about why she's doing it, like someone who's starved to death or something or whatever. But there's stuff there. You could definitely make a movie out of it, but I don't know if there's a series or whatever. I'm going to join you on 6 now.
Hey, they made about 5 movies out of Robert the Dole, Chris. So
each one better than the last.
They're making an entire universe out of Avatar, apparently.
Brilliant. Finally, shush the cat. Reach. So it's known in Brazil. So I think it's got a good reach through time, and it sounds like not this particular witch, but the idea of the old hag, like sitting on you or whatever, or getting you while you sleep, seems to be a fairly global one. So I'm going to kind of take it from that as much as this particular instance, or something that seems like a more common thing that people believe in. So it's only been in one. This particular one's only been in one TV show, but old hags are kind of more popular. So I'm going to give it kind of an average 7 for Reach now.
Yeah, a bit lower for me, because I think it's probably a bit more regional. I appreciate it. The archetype might be a bit more universal, but if I'm going with the actual legend itself, I don't know that. And it's kind of interesting, but I think other people have their own interpretation of that for the sleep paralysis thing. So it's more of academic interest. So I'm going to give it a 6 for me.
So that gives us an overall score of 56, which is pretty high.
Very good.
Really high. So if you've ever had any spooky sleep paralysis stuff, then you can get in touch at herb.legends.podcast@gmail.com. I know you won't. And if you do enjoy our bollocks, then feel free to drop us a rating or a comment. It would be appreciated. Look at us. We're so corporate.
Hey, why not?
Hey, why not, guy?
Take 5 seconds out of your day.
Don't cost you anything, and maybe you could make someone's day.
Oh, you stopped listening already. Don't worry.
Good, yeah. I mean, people I would assume people...
And in fairness, if you haven't got this far, then,
Yeah, then you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's it for this week. I hope you all have a nice week and all that. And we'll be back with some more nonsense or potentially true stories.
Oh, could be. Always could be.
Same time next week. Have a nice one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Antenna. Server. USB. Wi-Fi. Chip and pin. Busy.